DB Cooper 1, Liston versus DB Cooper, rumble in the comments on the Turkey payroll. Mate, DB Cooper 1, you wouldn't be spending your time watching us. As much as we feel we are essential viewing, you wouldn't be wasting your time watching us if you were getting the sort of money that Turkey doles out. The closest I've got to Turkey Al Sheikh's wallet so far is him following me on Twitter, and I follow him back. I'm not trying to name drop there, but yeah, he hasn't responded to my DMs asking for an interview just yet. But yeah, they're the only DMs I send on Twitter now, by the way. Moving on from that, we saw some action at the weekend. As excited as we are about the 5 versus 5, I think some of the performances at the weekend, particularly in Sheffield, but what Frank Warren had a show on Friday night as well, got us pretty excited in the current era of boxing. Dalton Smith got past. He put on a bit of a statement, actually, in the main event against Jose Zepeda. Not the Zepeda of old, perhaps, but he'd only been dissected by fighters at the very top level previously. And this time around, it was Dalton Smith that got him out there with a beautiful right hand to the body. And we now wait to see what happens. But we want to talk more specifically about the current furore, the argument between Boxxer and Matchroom over a fight between Dalton Smith and Adam Azim. Eamon, before I kind of go into detail on this, what do you make of it? Maybe you can kind of lay it out a little bit for the people out there who aren't aware of what's going on.
Okay, so I'll lay it out first and I'll give you my take because I'm very glad that you've come to me for this, Danny. Laying it out here, the situation is that Adam Azim.
Frank Warren called him Aziz earlier.
There we go. Yeah, a bit of a...
Adam Aziz.
That's the one. Adam Azim, I'll say it again, captured the European title over in Wolverhampton. I was there on the card. He was mandated for the fight. He captured the title. And then he's been ordered to defend the European title. Who was ordered to be the first defense? None other than Dalton Smith. That fight was then, I believe, they were talking about whether they can make the fight. But the belief is that when it came to negotiations or conversations surrounding the fight, that Boxxer and Azim weren't ready to step to the table for that fight and didn't want to take the fight themselves. There was, however, the conversation from Adam Azim saying, look, he's not going to be ready for when the fight was mandated for because he's doing fasting, and Dalton Smith had already had a fight lined up as well too. I don't think Zepeda might have been announced at the time, but Dalton Smith was confirmed at the very least to be fighting on this weekend. So that was the situation as far as I remember, unless I'm missing out any parts of the story. Danny, can you just confirm me? No?
Well, I think that's right. Smith had a fight lined up. Adam Azim had Ramadan, of course, and they delayed the purse bids by mutual consent.
That's right. So now when it comes to my thoughts on this, I'm quite amped about this, and I'm probably going to annoy or upset people with how I feel about this. But Vinny, we need to strap the listeners in and sound the hot take alert for this one. Yes, and my hot take is this, Danny, and listeners in the chat. I'm not bothered about a Dalton Smith versus Adam Azim fight right now. Where actually is the clamour for the two to fight? It's a trade fight, a good fight, sure. But neither of these are stars and are selling out arenas. Neither of these have any real rivalry other than being Brits rising in the same division at the same time. Speaking of clamour, Smith versus Azim doesn't resonate with me as a top British clash that I would wish for right now. Fury versus Joshua, Wood versus Warrington 2, Taylor Catchwell 2, Dubois versus Joyce 2, Yard versus Boazzi. Outside of the EBU ordering it, there's no demand. And Eddie Hearn, credit to him dominating that PR battle versus Boxxer and Ben Shalom. But when you say it's a step backwards for your man, you're really saying we don't want it either because we are onto bigger and better things. And you are. You halted Zepeda. The only way is up. You'll both meet soon, but the fight isn't happening now. I'm not bothered about that fight happening now. I don't know too many people that are really pushing for that fight right now.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, maybe a lukewarm take, if you like. What I would say is, though, from Boxxer's perspective, they could have handled this so much better. You know, from a PR standpoint. I was speaking to Sam Jones about this on a recent interview. It's on the channel now. And we both agreed that if you're Ben Shalom or anyone from Boxxer, because Ben Shalom doesn't do interviews at the moment with the YouTube video outlets, but anyone who represents Boxxer should have just come out and said, look, Adam Azim really wants to fight. He thinks he'll knock Dalton Smith out. He's banging down my... I'm starting to sound like Eddie Hearn here. He's banging down my door and he's saying he want to knock him out. But it's our duty of care as promoters to hold them back and to pick the right fights at the right times. Do I believe that Adam Azim beat... This is me talking as Ben Shalom. Do I believe Adam Azim beats Dalton Smith right now? Yes. Do I believe that the odds are more in his favour in 2 years' time? Even more so. Do I think he'll make a lot more money in 2 years' time for that fight? Of course. So even though he really wants to fight, we're going to make a better decision here. And then the argument about it goes away. Obviously, questions might be asked in why they delayed the purse bids rather than just withdrawing him in the first place. But you avoid a lot of the flack. And some of that flack goes to Azim as well. Even though I think most people, certainly in the industry, believe that it's nothing to do with him and that he would take the fight if it was his choice. So it's a tricky one in that sense, but I think it could have been navigated far more sensibly by Boxxer. And that's why the headline is Boxxer balls up. The question mark's there out of kindness. I think they have balls up. And I think the problem is it's not the only time this has happened. You know, you had the issue before with Fraser Clark and Fabio Wardley. Granted, they're now fighting this Sunday, of course. But, you know, pulling him out of the purse bids previously. And it's become a pattern. And this is something that fans, and this is more hardcore fans than casuals, they won't respect them for it. When Ben Shalom first started this relationship with Sky Sports, it landed really well. You had that short period where they had, what was it, Calm Brook, Taylor Catchell 1, and Liam Williams, Chris Eubank Jr., all around the same time. That was like their first slate of shows that they announced all in one go. And people were really excited. Oh, Sky are going to do really well even without Eddie Hearn. Look at these fights. You know, these are fights people want to see. There's a pay-per-view fight as part of it, etc., etc. Since then, it's gone a bit quiet. They're still putting on good shows. They're still putting on good trade fights and domestic clashes. We've seen very few pay-per-views with actual Boxxer fighters involved that they haven't had to buy in and work with other promoters to make. They've been completely excluded from the whole Saudi situation so far. Their fighters haven't appeared on any of the shows. They haven't been part of any of the events. And now stuff like this, it's not really going to help. You know, you want to, especially with signing new boxers as well, people that are turning over from the amateurs, you want to know that you're signing with someone who comes across as professional, trustworthy. And that's why it's a public relations battle, because Boxxer will say, and quite rightly so, yes, all right, we are doing the best thing by Adam Azim. You know, we are trustworthy and loyal to our fighters, because it's not the right time for Adam Azim to fight Dalton Smith. He's got a much better chance than he has now in a few years, and he'll make a lot more money from it. No one would argue with that. But if you're looking to sign with someone, you want to know that they're going to make you look good, or at least, at the very least, not make you look bad to the general public who you're relying on to make you a star. And doing stuff like this really doesn't help Adam Azim at all.